Hello, in this Kotlin programming video, I am going to discuss data types. So they're going to be in relation to variables. So if you don't know what a variable is, I recommend checking that video out. Once you've done that, welcome back. Okay, so data types. We've got a few variables here, and we're using var, and val. Keyword doesn't really matter at the moment. This is a string data type. This is a number, and this is a number. What does that mean? Okay, so as you can see here, I've reassigned a value to num1 and epic var. But what happens instead of assigning a number to num1, I assign a string like hello. What happens? It's red and it says type mismatch required int found string. So let me run it. It won't compile it because it's giving you a red line mismatch, and the reason is even though we haven't specified a data type, when you first assign a value to a variable, it will just become the data type of that particular value. So this is now a string variable because this is a string. This is now a number variable. This one's also a number variable because it's val. You can't actually change it afterwards anyway. So I'll get rid of val. Really, that data types don't really matter too much in the case of vals. And there's 6 main data types. There's actually, there's a few more than that. So there's number data types. Within that, you have byte, short, int, long, and those are whole numbers. And depending on which one you have, they're the specific range. So byte is from -128 to 127. It's a byte, so it's 8 bits. An integer, which is 32 bits, ranges from 2 billion or -2 billion, 147,483,648 to 2,147,483,647. A long is 64 bits, and I'm not even going to try and say the number out. It's really big. Numbers you can also do in the form of floats and double, which are decimal point numbers. Double just has higher precision. There are character data types, which is just an individual character. There's Boolean data types, so true or false. There's arrays, there's strings that we've already covered. I'll provide a link so you can see the differences in there. Once you understand what we're doing here, you'll be all good to go. Okay, so if you don't specify a particular data type, depending on what value is first assigned, it'll become that value. So this has to be a number. So this has to be 89, for example. And that's the same with this. If you try and assign something that's not a string, it will not work. The way that you specify a particular data type is if I do var, if I do num2 equals, or you just put colon, and now you specify the data type. So I'm just going to say float. So this is a decimal number. So it equals 5.5. And what's this known about? Okay, so it just needs to have f at the end of the float. That depends on the language. Sometimes it's strict like that. So if I print out println num2, and now let's run it and see what we get. Okay, so it's printed out 5.5. My thinking, what's the benefit of this? Because we've actually added more code. And if it gets the data type based on the value that's first assigned, would we not just do that? That's fine if you're going to assign a value. Maybe you don't know the value for num1, for example. As you can see, it's got a red squiggly line there. It says this variable must either have a type annotation or be initialized. What that means, it must either have a data type specified, and that way the compiler knows I need to create this type of variable, aka assign this amount of memory in the RAM, and only allow this types of values to be stored there, or initialize is the same thing as doing this, for example. Whereas if I were to get rid of the value assignment here, this is fine. Now, obviously, this is saying it must be initialized, but this line doesn't have a problem. So if I say num2 equals 8, 8.7f, for example. If you want to do a whole number, you can just do like 8.0f. And now if I run it, we get 8.0 printed out. So data types, or specifying the specific data type of a variable is really useful if you're not going to use that variable straight away, if you're going to declare it, but assign a value later on, so you don't know the initial value. Then specifying the data type is not only useful, it's crucial. But I think it's good to specify the data type anyway, even for values that are assigned straight away. It just creates consistency, and when you're scanning the code and maybe you have thousands of lines of code, it's just easy to process and read. So that's it for data types. Like I said, there are other data types just in numbers. There's characters, strings, boolean, and obviously if I were to do like colon string, for example, that's the equivalent for string, but the format is exactly the same. I'll provide a link so you can check out all of the different types. It's simple as that. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.